Mount Everest, known locally as Sagarmatha or Qomolangma, is Earth's highest mountain above sea level, located in the Mahalangur Himal sub-range of the Himalayas. The China-Nepal border runs across its summit point. Its elevation of 8,848.86 meter was most recently established in 2020 by the Chinese and Nepali authorities. Mount Everest attracts many climbers, including highly experienced mountaineers. There are two main climbing routes, one approaching the summit from the southeast in Nepal and the other from the north in Tibet. While not posing substantial technical climbing challenges on the standard route, Everest presents dangers such as altitude sickness, weather, and wind, as well as hazards from avalanches and the Khumbu Icefall. As of May 2024, 340 people have died on Everest. Over 200 bodies remain on the mountain and have not been removed due to the dangerous conditions. Climbers typically ascend only part of Mount Everest's elevation, as the mountain's full elevation is measured from the geoid, which approximates sea level. The closest sea to Mount Everest's summit is the Bay of Bengal, almost 700 kilometers away. To approximate a climb of the entire height of Mount Everest, one would need to start from this coastline, a feat accomplished by Tim McCartney-Snape's team in 1990. Climbers usually begin their ascent from base camps above 5,000 meter. The amount of elevation climbed from below these camps varies. On the Tibetan side, most climbers drive directly to the North Base Camp. On the Nepalese side, climbers generally fly into Kathmandu, then Lukla, and trek to the South Base Camp, making the climb from Lukla to the summit about 6,000 meter in elevation gain. The first recorded efforts to reach Everest summit were made by British mountaineers. As Nepal did not allow foreigners to enter the country at the time, the British made several attempts on the North Ridge route from the Tibetan side. After the first reconnaissance expedition by the British in 1921 reached 7,000 meter on the North Col, the 1922 expedition pushed the North Ridge route up to 8,320 meter, marking the first time a human had climbed above 8,000 meter. The 1924 expedition resulted in one of the greatest mysteries on Everest to this day. George Mallory and Andrew Irvine made a final summit attempt on the 8th of June but never returned, sparking debate as to whether they were the first to reach the top. Tenzing Norgay and Edmund Hillary made the first documented ascent of Everest in 1953, using the Southeast Ridge route. Norgay had reached 8,595 meter the previous year as a member of the 1952 Swiss expedition. The Chinese mountaineering team of Wang Fuzhou, Ganpo, and Ku Yinhua made the first reported ascent of the peak from the North Ridge on the 25th of May 1960. Geologists have subdivided the rocks comprising Mount Everest into three units called formations. Each formation is separated from the other by low-angle faults, called detachments, along which they have been thrust southward over each other. From the summit of Mount Everest to its base, these rock units are the Qomolangma Formation, the North Kernel Formation, and the Rongbuk Formation. In 2014, Nepal issued 334 climbing permits, which were extended until 2019 due to the closure. In 2015, Nepal issued 357 permits, but the mountain was closed again because of the avalanche and earthquake, and these permits were given a 2-year extension to 2017. In 2017, a person who tried to climb Everest without the $11,000 permit was caught after he made it past the Khumbu Icefall. He faced, among other penalties, a $22,000 fine and a possible 4 years in jail. In the end, he was allowed to return home but banned from mountaineering in Nepal for 10 years. In March 2020, the governments of China and Nepal cancelled all climbing permits for Mount Everest due to the COVID-19 pandemic. In April 2020, a group of Chinese mountaineers began an expedition from the Chinese side. The mountain remained closed on the Chinese side to all foreign climbers. On the 10th of May 2021, a separation line was announced by Chinese authorities to prevent the spread of coronavirus from climbers ascending Nepal's side.